Hello everybody, Clayton here at eTrailer.com. Here at eTrailer.com we install, test, and review a lot of different products to help you as a customer make a more educated decision before your purchase. Today we're going to be working on a 2015 Honda Fit, and we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install the Roadmaster FuseMaster. So you might be asking yourself, why do I need a FuseMaster? Or what is a FuseMaster? In short term, the FuseMaster is simply pulling the fuse without actually doing it. It's as easy as a flip of a switch, so you don't actually have to pull that fuse every time you want to flat tow. And it is required because we do have to pull a fuse to flat tow our Honda every time we hook up, because over a long time it's going to run down our battery because it leaves our radio on. So when we flip that fuse, in this case there's actually two of them, but when we do flip that fuse, it cuts power to our 12-volt outlet and our radio. Thus, we can have a nice charged battery whenever we get to where we're going. So we've moved to the inside of our Honda. As you can see, we have power to our head unit right now. So this is what we would do every day when we're driving around. And then when we hook up to our RV to flat tow, we simply flip our switch down here, and it cuts that power, thus saving our battery. And this is where our switch is going to be installed. It's just on our lower dash panel here. Now there are some blank spots that you could mount it, but it is a stretch from our cord. So we just put it down here. It's nice and easy to get to, and we're not going to have to try to reach around or get in a weird spot to flip our switch. It's going to be really handy because we're not going to have to crawl under there every time. It's definitely worth doing the installation. The installation as a whole really isn't too bad. The hardest part is going to be just working underneath our dash. With that being said, I'll walk you through how to get it installed. To start our installation, we're going to need to grab our owner's manual. We're going to look for the extended towing section, and that is going to tell us which two fuses to pull for the inside fuse panel. Now we are going to have to pull one for the outside fuse panel, but for this case we're only doing the inside. So we're going to pull a 20 and a 7.5 amp fuse. And to find our interior fuse panel, we're going to want to locate our hood latch and gas door release. That's going to be on the kick panel on the driver's side. And behind that kick panel, we're going to find our interior fuse panel. And we're going to be pulling our top right yellow and brown fuse. And again, that's going to be a 20 amp for the top and a 7.5 amp fuse for the bottom. So on our fuse bypass, you'll notice that there are two different fuses. We're going to have a couple different actually 4 different wires coming out of the end. And you want to make sure that you keep the 2 red heat shrinks together and the 2 black heat shrinks together. With our 2 fuses pulled, we now want to insert these ends into where our fuses were. And then for the top 20 amp fuse, we're going to be using the first fuse holder. And for the 7.5 amp fuse, or the second one down, we're going to be using the rearmost fuse holder. All we're going to do is slide these in to the tabs where our fuses were held in. And as you can see, we went ahead and just plugged those in, red on the top and black on the bottom. You do want to make sure they are pushed in all the way. They can move a little bit, but you want to make sure that they're not going to fall out once we mount our switch. We now want to find a good spot to mount our switch. We want to find a spot on our dash where there's not much behind there. And up here on the left, there are a couple blank openings, but this isn't quite long enough to actually reach up here. So we're actually going to mount ours right here. Now what you want to do is you want to grab a step drill bit and then slowly start drilling, and then periodically stop and see if your switch will fit. And then once there's enough room, we'll slide our switch through. I just went ahead and unsnapped our dash panel just to give us a little bit better angle for you guys, but we now have it opened up to the perfect amount. We can actually thread in our switch. Once that gets close, we can reach around the other side, turn the rest by hand, and then add our plastic nut on the back side. It's pretty flush right there. We want to make sure it's straight up and down. And we can grab our nut that goes on the back side. Now when I grab the other side of our wire, we're just going to plug these in to the corresponding sides. You want to make sure that you have both reds on one side and both blacks on the other. It really doesn't matter which orientation you do this, but as long as red and red are in the same fuse and black, and then you connect them like this on the switch, it'll work just fine. We are now ready to add our fuses. Our black wire, which is going to be our second fuse holder is going to get the 7.5 amp fuse. So we can grab that and just slide it into our fuse holder. You do want to make sure that the prongs line up with the openings in the fuse holder. We'll push that all the way down and add our cap. Then on the front one, we're going to be adding that 20 amp fuse, and we'll install that in the same fashion. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure not to pull the fuses out of your fuse panel. We now want to reinstall our dash panel in the reverse order that we took it apart. With everything installed, we are now ready to hit the road. That's going to do it for our look at and the installation of the Roadmaster FuseMaster on our 2015 Honda Fit.